low. We're going to figure it out. How's everyone doing this morning? How we doing, guys? You feeling good? Man, that was such a good talk, and, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm like, man, I don't even know how I'm going to come up after that. Like, that is so good. And, Danny, I just appreciate you for allowing me to, be here and to really share a bit of my testimony. And I'm just so excited. I know I only got 10 minutes, but I just wanted to share it a little bit. And I know I was here last year, and it really impacted my life a lot, just getting a chance to hear from different men that have overcome in their lives, that have changed themselves and everything. And for me to be here to share that and just some of the things that I've overcome in my own life is just an absolute amazing opportunity. So to give you guys some background on myself, I was a previous athlete. My name's Goy. I'm originally from Ontario, but been living in Edmonton for a little while. I previously had a background as an athlete myself. Grew up in Edmonton, played for the Edmonton Wildcats, and turned into an entrepreneur later on. And for myself, I understood early on, especially growing up, that it's really, really important to really grow, right? And to really understand the lies and the things that you go through in your life. And, there's going to be a lot of teaching for you guys tonight and today. And I just want to be able to share just some of the things that I've learned and, to inspire you guys and everything. And I want to split my story real quick into 3 different parts. One is the resiliency season. The second season was the testing season. And number 3 was the winning season. And, if you guys can kind of describe what it means to be resilient, what kind of comes to mind? Just shout it out. When you think of being resilient, what comes to your mind? Tough. I like that. Another word? Bold. I love it. Okay, any other word? Strong. I love it. And I think a lot of guys can relate. We've learned to be resilient. We've learned to be able to bounce back. And when you look at the definition of being resilient, it's being able to bounce back from a challenge, to be able to overcome, to be able to develop. And for myself, growing up, I grew up in a household. I'm the oldest of 5, and I grew up in a single mom household. So a lot of different pressures, a lot of things that I had to learn and to grow in. And for me, I never knew my dad. For a long, long time. I didn't actually get a chance to meet him until I was almost 17, 18 years old. So the entire time, all I really had was just my mom and my family to really look after me. And before I was 14 years old, I had 3 different fathers come in and out of my life before I was 14. And seeing that, seeing the hurt, seeing them, my mom have to go through all of that was very, very difficult. And at this time, when I was this young, I became a very angry young man. And I had to understand that for me personally, I had to become a man very young, quote unquote, a man, as we all say. And seeing this, my mom would put a lot of pressures on me, or just, say, hey, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to be successful. You're going to have to overcome. You're going to have to take care of your siblings. And it forced me to grow up pretty fast, right? I had to bottle up a lot of my emotions. I had to just fight and be resilient, right? And over time, when you do that for a very, very long time, when you bottle your emotions up, when you, in a sense, continue to hold things on in your heart without releasing it, at some point it's going to explode somewhere else in your life. And for me, that began to explode for me around junior high, where I got into a lot of different bad things, got into gangs, started to rob people, started to steal, all this certain stuff, because I didn't have the validation from anyone else in my life. So I started to seek it from the world, right? And at this point, I was at a very frustrating point in my life where I was like, hey, I really want things to be different. So when I got into high school, I was like, hey, let me find something I'm actually passionate about. What is something I can do? I'm tall, I'm black, let me play football. Let me figure that out, you know what I'm saying? Let me play some football, and in high school, I picked it up, started playing for a couple of years. I am a corner, okay? I used to play receiver for all my corners. We played. Eddie, I see you. And for me, it was the one escape that I could have from all the struggles and the mindset and the pressures that I had in my life. So I was like, hey, if I can be successful at anything, let me at least catch a football, do whatever I can to be able to be that example for my family. And it was really great. It was awesome. And then at that point, I was really getting ready to go to the next part of my life, play at U of A or whatever it was, and COVID hit, right? And I lost everything at that point. And at this point, I was 18 years old, probably the lowest point of my life I've ever been. And I was thinking a lot about, hey, what the heck am I doing in this moment? I think every man reaches a point in their life where they actually have to think about changing. They have to think about what has been told their entire life, because the reason why you are where you are right now is because your thinking has brought you where you are right now. And the lies that have been told to you has brought you where you are right now. And this is the first time in my life that I ever started to pray. I grew up in a Christian household, but no one was really a Christian. I wore a cross around my neck, but I was a crash out. And it was crazy. Like, I'd wear a cross doing all this stuff. And I originally got one because I thought it looked cool. And for the first time I prayed, and I was like, I didn't even have the right words. I was listening to Drake at the time, and I was like listening to Marvin's Room. I was like, man, I don't even know what to do, God. Like, this is crazy. I don't know if you're in God. Who's listening to me right now? And when I prayed a prayer, I really wanted something. I really wanted to be able to have something I can really focus on, a passion to really move forward in. I really wanted to have the right association. And that's when, literally the next day, the Lord put such amazing people in my life. My friend Josh and my mentor, he changed a lot for me. He started to turn the things around in my mind that I had to unlearn, right? I had this thought of I'm not enough. I had this thought of my dad didn't really want me anymore. I had these thoughts of I have to perform to be loved, right? And I think a lot of men feel that, right? You have to perform to feel loved, right? And as I continued on my journey, I'd learned that Jesus already had loved me, so I can learn to love other people. And here's the cool thing about resilience. Resilience is really cool because you grow and you bounce back from whatever challenge that you go in. But the problem with resilience is you bounce back, but you continue to bounce forward, right? You learn to come back and bounce back, but do you actually grow from that next section? And at this point, this is where my mentor had started to work on my mind, work on my heart, and I had made a decision to change. I wanted to not only be resilient, but be anti-fragile and actually grow out of these situations that I was going through. So I prayed a prayer. I was like, Lord, I just pray in this current moment that you continue to work on my heart and you actually allow me to grow further in my season so I can actually to fix the relationships in my life. And this, my friends, is where the testing season comes in. Because if I could share something with you guys, there is no testimony without a test. You have to go through trials. You have to go through tribulations to be able to actually share something. And I know that Kellen, when he was sharing, he had gone through the trials. And now he's been able to share that story with us that is so impactful. And around this time, I gave my life to Christ. I went to a church. My mentor was a really great follower of Jesus, a man of God. And he always had this joy. He always had this excitement. And I was like, man, where are you getting this from? And he's like, oh, come, I'll show you on Sunday. I said, okay, what's on Sunday? And I came, and I saw this young man, or this man preach, and he brought us all up to stage. And for some reason, he's like, hey, who wants to give their life to Christ? And in that moment, I just stood up, and I ran to the front of the stage, and there was this old Chinese man. And he's like, hey, can I pray for you? And I was like, sure, bro. Okay, you can pray for me. And we prayed, and he started praying over things in my life that I've never told anybody. And I was like, I don't know if you're supposed to look like Jesus, but you look like him to me right now. But he's like, no, it's not me, but don't worry about it. And he started to pray for me, and in this testing season, I was like, man, this is incredible. And things did not stop there, right? And at this point, I really wanted to develop my relationship with my dad and change that up, and I had a very difficult conversation with my mentor, which I hated. I cried a lot. And throughout this testing season, I had a lot of things that happened that had to really test not only my decision of wanting to grow and develop, but also what it looked like to actually become a man of God and what actually become a man of valor as well. And throughout this season, a lot of things happened. 2024, I probably faced the worst financial struggle I've ever had in my life. In 2024, I randomly got let off of my job at the beginning of the year, February, March, and for about 7-8 months, I had no income coming in, nothing coming in besides the bank account from the kingdom. And it was so insane because every 2 weeks, I would start to get small bits of money and random stuff, like Telus would give me a bill and all that and everything. And it was very odd. And the year after that, there was a point where there was a lot of decisions that were made from, my parents, and we had lost our house. We had lost power in our house, and that was something I had to bring to the Lord as well to be able to go fix. And at this certain time, I was like, in this season of testing, I was like, this is very interesting. And I learned a couple lessons of what it means to be tested, and and the mindset you have to have when it goes on. I remember there was a story where me and Josh were actually at a LA Fitness, and my wallet got stolen. This is a year before. This is in 2023. My wallet got stolen, and it had everything in it, like all $500 in my bank account, okay? And my wallet got stolen, and I looked over at him, and I just started smiling, started laughing, because I understood that whatever is going to come out of this is going to be 10x, like it talks about with the parable of the sower. And I had that mindset throughout that entire time. And throughout the season of testing, it was very interesting, just because knowing that happening, losing our house, losing power and everything, and me and Jesus had to work together to really figure that out. A lot of my mentors and my coaches. The entire time, I was not scared. The entire time I had hope. The entire time I understood that this was a test. See, a lot of times you're resilient because you don't know there's a test. So all you can do is hold your arms up and guard the punches. But when you're going through a season of a test, you understand that it's meant to level you up. There's a reason for it. There's a reason why you're going through the struggle, so that your testimony can now add value to other people. Because a lot of the times, the fruit that you bear from your own tree is not for you, but for others, right? It's for the people around you. And at this time in my life, my siblings also did not give a rip about God. They did not like God or any of that stuff. And as I started to grow and develop, I started to see some of the wins come in, right? When I had lost my wallet got stolen, $500 was taken out of my account. But my tax return, which is very interesting, I wasn't supposed to get as much as I was supposed to get, but it was 10x from what actually got stolen from my cart. Okay? The financial struggles that I went through in 2024 when I lost that job, and it was not a lot of money, by the way. I lost that job. The job that I got 7 months later was triple the amount of salary that I had got from then. Triple. And the last thing, which is probably the most important thing, was my mentor drove me, because my dad lives out in Ontario. He lives out in Windsor, and my mentor lives in Cambridge, and he drove me 3 hours to go have a conversation with my father. And I went over there, and I didn't really know what to expect. I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of sadness, I had a lot of fear, because I think for myself, everything started to kind of come up, right? I think a lot of guys here, I don't know if you guys can relate, didn't grow up with a father, didn't grow up with someone that they can actually attach themselves to and can teach them and everything. And I got a chance to finally hear his side of the story. I got a chance to finally hear some of the things that he had to go through, some of the things that he learned as a man, and he learned that he had to just be strong. He had to bottle everything up. Sounds familiar, right? Which was me. And I remember sitting there and hearing his story, and I could not stop crying. And at this point, I realized that, man, Jesus is really with me, because the one thing he told me in that moment, because I haven't talked to him in 17 years. He hadn't seen me since I was born. And he had said this to me. He was like, I knew Goy, and we were both crying. I was like, you're crying, I'm crying, I don't know why we're crying. And he was like, I told you this. I told this, I knew this was going to happen. He's like, I knew someone was going to come into your life and change you and grow you, and I knew at one point you would come back to me to figure out what's going on. And since then, we've had such a good relationship. He calls me sometimes. He loves to buy some of the products I have. He always supports me in everything I'm doing. He gave me a call. He's like, yo, Goy, are you speaking at the Men of Honor conference? I said, yes, I am. I'm speaking there. Yes, it's going to be awesome. I'm actually going to be talking about you. He goes, make sure you tell them I'm not old. I'm like, hey, it's all good, brother. It's going to be good. I'm like, yeah, he looks like me. He's the exact opposite of me. He's tall. He's taller than me, but he's like the quietest dude ever. I'm the exact opposite of that. And it was so cool because since then, my relationship with him has gotten better. The wins have gotten better. I got baptized a year later after that. And my sister, after that, gave her life to Christ as well. And it was so cool because I was like, Jesus used my story to add value to other people and other people around me. And just like what Kellen was talking about is sometimes people don't see Jesus, but they see Jesus in you and want to follow where it's coming from, right? And it's such a crazy thing because now I look at every single situation as a win. And there was a quote that I heard from one of my mentors that I always keep in my heart, and it's, through every adversity, there is a seed of equal or greater benefit as long as you have a positive mental attitude. And what does that mean? And that means that how you look at adversity and how it can happen and how it can use to actually level up your life is the most important thing. Because I looked at it like this. If I'm winning in life, that's great. If I'm losing in life, that's better. Because I knew if I didn't let the enemy steal my joy, that there's going to be some sort of return out of every single thing that I go through. And I've had that mindset every single day, everything that I go through, because I understood how good God is, and I understood why he's using me and what the vision he has for my life and what that can do for other people. And I always think of the verse, Romans 8:28, right? And it says in Romans 8:28 that the pain that you're currently going through cannot compare to the joy that is coming. And I understood in this winning season that not only do you have to understand how adversity can be used in your life, not only do you have to understand how God is so good and how he's always with you in every single moment, but who you surround yourself with that can actually unveil who God is in their life as well. Because sometimes I didn't know who Jesus was. I didn't know who he was as a person and what he's done, but I did know who my mentor was, and he always advocated for him. And that's one of the coolest things is understanding that, who you're surrounding yourself with, and how adversity can really bring that wind, that fire out of you, and can expose the things that you've been growing, or expose the things that have been insecurities in your life, the lies that you've been told. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the time, and hope you have a great day.